Hey everyone, so in this video I wanted to kind of walk through my weekly farm schedule for growing microgreens. We primarily sell to chefs, so we like to have consistent production, and right now we have one planting day and one harvest day per week, but you can always add more if you need to. So essentially we try and get all of our crops lined up on that 9-day schedule, and those that need longer, we just add a week to it or multiple weeks so that it lines up on our harvest day. So I thought I'd just kind of walk through day by day and build this out so you can kind of see how production cycles start to overlap and then what your weekly schedule would look like. So right now, I plant on Sundays, so plant microgreens. Then 1, 2, 3 days later, we unstack most of our microgreens. Our 3-day stack crops. Then for nasturtiums and beets, they go 5 days in germination stacked. So we will unstack. Okay, and then also on Wednesdays, some of our crops like amaranth actually go straight to blackout. So we remove them from blackout and move to lights. So I'll just say move amaranth to lights. Okay, so this is day 5. Saturday is day 6. Sunday's 7. Monday's 8. Tuesday is day 9, and this is when we harvest microgreens. Now, I try and deliver within 48 hours, so I have a larger route on Wednesday. And then I also deliver some on Thursday to my ones that are further away. Okay, and then I generally water 4 days a week. I try not to. I try and give at least almost a 2-day buffer for crops before harvest, so they're not too wet in the middle. Some things like radish will start to fall over, so they might need a little splash. But essentially, the last watering before harvest is on Sunday. Sorry, my computer's flopping around. Okay, and then we also have some crops that hold over for more than the 9 days, so we water those microgreens on Monday too. And I water when things go under lights, so when they're unstacked or when they move from blackout to lights. We water microgreens. And then on Friday. So you can see it's about every other day. This can be dependent, though, on your grow environment, and the more controlled you are on humidity and temperature, the more predictable your production will be. But you just kind of have to figure out what works for you. You might need to water daily. You definitely shouldn't have to water twice a day. Daily is probably the max. Otherwise, you're just going to have wet crops when you harvest. So things are harvested on Tuesday, so that means we have dirty trays that need to be dumped, cleaned, filled with soil, and prepped for the next planting, which is the following Sunday. So on Tuesday, we dump and wash trays. And then essentially filling trays can happen, anytime. You could do it on planting day if that's the only day you have to dedicate for microgreens. But I believe in the principle from The Lean Farm by Ben Hartman. Amazing series of books that he has there. Highly recommend reading them. I don't recommend his microgreens growing advice. However, the lean principles can definitely be applied. And one of those principles is leveling the load. So instead of having, peaks and valleys where you have days where there's nothing happening or days where you're so stressed because you have so much to do, you try and spread things out when you can. So we try and fill our trays, and prep seed. So we pre-measure seed in 4-ounce souffle cups, unless it's a seed that needs to be soaked, in which case we actually just prep it in Ziploc bags and then soak them in the Ziploc bags. I try and do, like pea shoots, I do about 5 trays of seed per bag, and then fill the bag with water the night before we plant. So again, you could move filling trays, prep seed to any day that works for you. Thursday, I don't have a lot going on in the morning, and I can't do deliveries till the afternoon, so it's a great way to prep our stuff. And that's pretty much it. We do, I forgot one thing. We do grow cilantro, and we stack cilantro for 7 days. So since the first batch was planted on the previous Sunday, that means we likely have a batch that needs to be unstacked and put under lights the next Sunday. So we would unstack before we do the watering, so then we can water everything that's under the lights. So you can see we have at least 2, sometimes 3 or 4 rotations of crops all at one time. Again, the beauty of a 9 or 10 day grow schedule, which you can grow quite a few microgreens, you can establish a business on those crops alone. They spend 3 to 4 days stacked, which means you then have 6 or 7 days where they are, where they're under lights. So essentially your farm is turning over every 6 to 7 days. So as soon as you take things out to harvest them, there's stuff that's ready to be unstacked and put under lights again. So there's not a lot of wasted infrastructure because it's always being used. And then, like I said, we just have some crops like leeks and nasturtium, cilantro that we hold over an extra week, so that we have closer to like a 16, 17 day grow schedule on those. But you can, again, play with the grow times dependent on your schedule, the crops you're growing. If I had to choose between either adding another harvest day or another planting day, I would prefer to add a planting day because it's easier to plant an extra 10 days than it is to 10 trays than it is to set up a whole nother harvest day and delivery day and all that. So, but let's just kind of summarize through here. So on Sunday, we plant microgreens, we unstack cilantro from last week, and then we water any microgreens that are under lights, which is quite a few at this point. The farm is usually full. Monday, we water microgreens, but only the stuff that's not being harvested Tuesday. So this would be, again, the cilantro that just got unstacked, some leeks, nasturtium, anything that's holding over an extra week. Then on Tuesday, we do a big harvest of microgreens. And then as soon as we're done, we dump, wash, and sanitize our trays, and then stack them to dry. And I could add those things in as well. Usually before planting, I like to print a custom label set. And then label my clamshells. And then that way, the way I do it, and I'll do a video on this, the labeled clamshells become my pick pack list because I only print labels for the exact quantities of the sizes and crops that I need. So back to the summary. Tuesday, we harvest microgreens, dump and wash trays. I try and do some chef meetings Tuesday afternoon. We did a lot of outreach on Instagram, but we were kind of drying up on responses. So I'm starting a new cold call campaign, calling restaurants, asking to speak to the chef to set up a meeting. So I prefer to do those on Tuesday because I can harvest everything in the morning. I have some help that'll dump and wash trays, and then I can be out doing chef meetings. So on Wednesday, we unstack most of the things we planted on Sunday. The amaranth we planted on Sunday comes out of blackout and goes under lights. I have a large route of microgreens deliveries, and then before we go out for delivery, we water anything that's under lights. And then Thursday, we prep our seed, we fill our trays, and then we have a small delivery route. And then on Friday, we unstack nasturtium and beets, and then we water everything that's under lights. And then Saturday, at this point, we don't really have much going on. It's kind of a day to rest. The only thing we do on Saturday is soak peas overnight. And I just take the bags of seed home, soak them at my house, and then take the full bags of soaked peas the next morning to the farm to plant. And that's a quick summary of my current farm schedule. I'm actually going to be selling microgreens at the market. That's my farm is located on a market farm that has a market every Saturday, and they're going to buy some of my product wholesale. So what I'm going to do for that instance is create a second planting and harvest day for that, and then also be able to kind of spread out my chef deliveries and move some of those accounts to a second or a different day in the week. So what I'll likely do is plant on Tuesday or Monday and have a Thursday or Friday harvest. As you can see, it's a 2-day split. So from the time we plant, 9 days later is a Tuesday. So if I plant on Tuesday, 9 days later will be Thursday. And if we pack and harvest on Thursday and the market's on Saturday, again, that's still going to have, that's still at the beginning of the usable life of these products compared to the end. So our stuff will last 10 to 14 days in the cooler. So we, harvest dry and pack them, in full containers. So there's not a lot of air for wilting. And yeah, so as I add more planting and harvest days, it just, again, stacks on top of this current cycle. And the best way to do that is to use Trello, or this is Todoist, and just kind of map out your week, Sunday through Saturday, and then just kind of work through the steps. And that way you'll have a clear representation of how the cycles overlap and how you might need to move things around. So if you want to learn more about growing and selling microgreens, growing for hobby, health, or even business, I have a free school community called Microgreens at Home Free, and you can check that link out below. And I'd love to see you in there, answer any questions you have. And I am working on a full-blown microgreens course that will be for free in that group. Same growing information, some basics of selling that you might find in $1,000 courses, and it's all going to be for free, just because I think more people should localize their community food sources, and microgreens is a great way to do that. So again, check out my free community. It's at skool.com, SKOOL, and then the link below to join the Microgreens at Home free course. I'll see you in there. Thank you.